This is a very important lesson about permissions in Linux. Permissions are very critical. In fact, this is one of the ways you start to manage security in Linux. In Linux, we have a series of permissions. Three of them are, the first one is to read, the second one is to write, and the third is to execute. Three permissions. And I'll take you to the dashboard and I will show you a few. Read, write, and execute. Now, read makes it possible for you to read the content of a file. When you have a read permission, you can read the content of a file. And if you have the write permission, you can edit, you can delete, and you can modify the content of a file or directory. If you have the execute permission, it's important when you want to execute programs. And if you want to enter into a directory, for example, when you write the cd command to a directory called boy, it's only possible because you have the execute permission. So these are the three permissions in Linux: read, write, execute. So read is going to be abbreviated by R. Write is going to be abbreviated by W, and execute will be abbreviated by X. In addition to this, there are three people I want you to be aware about. Three people. The first one is the owner of a file. We call him the user. The second is the group to which that file belongs to. And the last one is other people, all other people. What can they do? So I will show you them. So we have also the owner, the group, and other people. Let's say James creates a file. James is the owner. And that file will also belong to a group, some group, and other people also will have different permissions towards that file. Now, we can call the owner, in order to avoid confusion, he will be called the user. The group will be called the group. The same, it doesn't change. And other people, others, will be just called others. So we'll have permissions for three people: the user, the group, and other people. So this is how we start to manage permissions in Linux. Now we're going to go back again onto our terminal, and I will start to show you some of these permissions. This is my Red Hat server. I'm logged into the server, and I'm going to do a few things. First of all, who am I? If you look here, I'm STB. I'm logging to a computer called Red Hat server, and in my home directory, I can write the command who am I. It will tell you I am STB. Now, I want to list the content. I want to know where my location, my present work directory, pwd. That shows you that I'm under home STB. That's my location. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an ls-l to see all the files. ls-lh. There you go. I can see that I have a file called family, a directory, and I have another one called fruits.tar. So let's proceed. I'm going to clear my screen, and I'm going to create two more files, or three. I'm going to touch just empty files: orange, mango, and guavas. I created three empty files with the touch command. I hit enter. If I do an ls, you can clearly see I have orange, mangoes, and guavas. Now, for the next part, I'm going to do a long listing to see more details about those files, and this is where the fun begins. Now, permission can look overwhelming, but I want to promise you this is going to be extremely easy. I will make it really easy for you, and you're going to get it really fast. Let's write on. So I want to see more detail about these files. What am I going to do? I'm going to run ls-lh. L means long listing, H means human readable. I want it really clear for me. Hit enter. Now I can see something. Now, I would show you something on this file. If you look here, it lists all the files from family to fruits to guava, mango, and orange. And there are a bunch of stuff here. With this long list of ls-lh, it shows us way more information. And it's important for us to look at this information and discuss what do they really mean. The first thing I want to tell you is I want you to take a look at this location. That is the permission of a file. RW, R. Now, three things are going to happen here, guys. I'm going to show you, I'm going to write the first permission all by myself and show you something. So we have read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. These are three sets of permission. The very first set of permission goes to the user, the guy who created the file, the owner of the file. The second one goes to the group. Remember when we were talking about group, I told you when you create a new user in Linux, he has a group all by his name. And if you want to add him into other groups, you can add him to other groups. But that is groups. And the last one, permission, it goes to other people. This is when there is full permission for everybody on the file. Read, write, execute for the user, read, write, execute for the group, read, write, execute for others. But it's not always so. Sometimes we don't have the full permission. For example, this is a clear case. Let's look at this file called orange. If we look here, the permissions for orange is read and write, read, and then read. Now, I'm going to clear my screen and I'll take you again step by step through these permissions. Now, if I come here, guys, let me maximize these permissions here for orange. Let's focus on this file called orange. This one, orange. So what we're going to do is, if you look on the orange file, at the beginning of these permissions, I want you to focus only on this side of the equation because it literally gives you a lot of information. But at the beginning, you would see there is a minus. The very first minus means it's a file. You're dealing with a file. Okay? If instead of a minus you see a D, it means you're dealing with a directory. A directory or a folder. A directory. So that is the first thing it tells you. So I'm going to ask you guys a few questions right now. If you look on your screen, what do you know about this folder called family? The very first thing I would say is, because it starts with a D at the permission, it's a directory or a folder. What about guavas? Because it starts with a minus or a hyphen, it means it's a file. A normal file, like a Word document. Okay. Now, the next thing is, that's the very first thing. We're going to work here at the level of the permissions. Now, let me give you a quick summary on this file. For example, this file called guava. Here, we see all the permissions for guava. This is guava. We see the permission. And then, this one tells you who owns the file, the owner, which we also call the user. And then the second one tells you the group. Here, it tells you the date the file was created, the date it was created, and the time when it was created. And the name of the file is right here. Is the file name called guava. We call it file name. What about mango? We see these are the permissions of mango. It's a file because it starts with a minus. It was created by this guy, STbit, and it's owned by the group STbit. And this is the date and time when it was created. And the name of the file is called mango. How about orange? Orange, the file name is orange. It was created today at this time. And the group is STbit. The owner is STbit. And these are the permissions. Whenever you're looking at the properties of a file, please remember the very first name is the owner, the user. And the second name is the group, what it belongs to. And we have the date and time when it was created. And finally, the file name. Excellent. So, we are going to proceed. I'm sure you would have asked yourself the question by now. that what is this 1 and what is this 0. I'll explain. So I would go through the entire permission one last time. So minus R, W, arrow, and all of this stuff is the permissions. The very first character tells you if it's a file or directory. If you see a minus, it's a file. If you see a Z, it's a directory. Okay. The next one is, this one stands for the number of hard links. Hard links are like when you're making shortcuts in Windows that you can use to access a file. That's what we call a hard link. That represents the number of hard links. In this case, we have just one file. It's not linked to anything. I'll drop a video below about links, and don't worry about it. It's very straightforward and easy. Ignore that for the moment. And these other zeros just tells you about the size of the file. How big is the file? What is the size of the file? In this case, they're all 0. Remember, when you use touch, you just create an empty file. So that's what that means. Whenever you see permissions, it's important to understand how they are written. So for example, I've already explained to you that the minus and the D just describe it as a file or directory. What about the rest of these permissions? I'm going to explain something to you to make this a very easy process. The very first thing is, I want you to make them in groups of 3. The number 3. So this is arrow, W, and then there's a hyphen here. The next one again, arrow, hyphen, hyphen. These are 3 characters. Another 3 characters. You see? So in this case, we'll say on Guava, the very first set of permissions, guys, they belong to the user or the owner of the file. The second one belongs to the group. In this case, this is the user. And in this case, this is the group. And the last 3 permission belongs to others. Other people, you and any other body, or and any other person who doesn't belong to the system, others. So, if we look here, guys, the permission is read, write, and then dash. Then the next permission for the group is just read. There is no permission, like write and execute, nothing. And for others, it's just a read permission. So, if you look, permissions are written like read, write, execute. Read, if I omit the write, I'll just put that. If I omit execute, I just put that. Okay? So permissions are written in sets of 3. The first 3 belongs to the user, the next 3 belongs to the group, and the other belongs to others. I hope you understand that right now. So we're going to proceed and check other files. I'm going to take you into the root directory of this operating system, and let's look at permissions. So I'm going to cd /root, because there are way more files there. Hit enter, and then now I'm going to write ls-lh. Time to reduce my screen because there are going to be a lot of files there. Hit enter. So there we go. Let's look at these files. Let's describe them together. So the very first file here, what does this tell you? There is a Z. It means that's a directory. What about this one? There's an L. It means it's a link. A symbolic link. It's like a shortcut in words. You can click there and it will take you somewhere. If I click on bin, it will take me to user SB. It's just a link. So ignore that, okay? It means nothing. Good. It means something, but I don't want you to worry about that right now. So the next one is a directory, link, directory. Let's go further. How many things are linked? How many hard links does the AFS file system has? It has 2 hard links. And don't worry about the links for the moment. And this one has 1 link, and this one has 20 hard links. And don't worry about that for the moment. Who owns this file? The very first field is root. Root owns the file called AFS. Which group owns it? The group is called roots. And what's the size? It's just 6 bytes or 6 bytes. Very small file. And when was it created? August the 9th, 2021. That's when that file was created. So we can go to the next one. Let's choose some random one. Okay, we're done right there. Let's go into the XC directory. CD XC directory. So I'm going to go CD /etc. Hit enter, and I'm going to do ls here -lh for long listing. And we can look all over again. And we can see some of them are directories, 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 directories. What about this one? You guess right, it's a file. File. Now, we fully understand the difference between a directory and a file. A file is like a document file, and a directory is a folder. So, let's do some work here, guys. What are the permissions? Let's work on this file called VC console. Let's work on that file. Let's go look at the permissions. We could see that it's, first of all, it's a file. That's right. Now, what is the permission for the owner of that file? What permission does he have? If we come here, the first three permission will be for the owner. 1, 2, 3. So he has read, write, and then there is no execute. That's why you see a minus. What about the group? The group has the permission just to read, and then they have a permission just, there's no write, there's no execute. What about other people? The next three permissions is just read. Excellent. Now, let's come down and look at this one called Yum. Over here, guys, Yum. Let's look at the permissions on Yum. First of all, what is it? It's a directory, that's Z. Now, the first three permissions, I'm going to get a different color of the pen to make sure you see that correctly. The first three permissions, if you come here, is 1, 2, 3. Read, write, execute. Okay, good. What about the next three permissions? That's for the owner. The next three permissions for the group: read and execute. There is no write. That's why you see a minus. And for all other people that come to this computer, what will be their permission? They will have read and then they will have execute. There is no write. If there was write, you would see a W here. And I hope you fully understand that. So, in a summary, the permissions on Linux, we have three permissions. We have read, write, execute. Those are the three permissions. Read is letter R, write is letter W, and execute is letter X. So I will add notes at the bottom of this video so you can do a summary. In the next video, I will show you how we can change permissions and how we can calculate permissions. Thank you for watching, and